All right, how you doing? It's Friday again, and I had to look at that. Terrible. I just realised when I see myself like this on the screen, I go, "Oh gosh, I didn't have a shave. I look a right mess." But we're not here for my looks, as awful as they are. We're not here for that. We're here for lots of
My
music
looks.
technology. Not here for yours either, mate. Not even. It's Kent that all the girls go after.
It is.
Anyway, he's not here, so we're still waiting. He'll have just got the message come up on his iPad saying the Pro Synth Network show has just gone live, and he'll be bugger, and he'll be up the stairs. So give him a couple of minutes, and he'll be on. I think. Anyway, welcome to the show, episode 219, Pro Synth Network live, live and uninterrupted for the last 4 and a bit years. Every week, we've done a show with that. We've not missed one. Which is pretty good going, I think. Yeah. I think that's pretty good. Anyway, 219. We're not even into the realms of relevant synthesizer numbers. I think we need to get to 303 for that. Well, we did 202, and we've done 101. Thank you, Roland, for the gift of relevant show numbers and stuff like that. But I know Sonic State does that, so we'll have to think of something else, some other kind of weird thing. Anyway, this is Waffle. Can you tell who's had a couple of glasses of wine before he came on air? Yeah. Anyway. So this is the show. This is live, as you can tell, because we never say the pro stands for professional in Pro Synth Network, more like prolapsed or something like that. But welcome to the show. You are all very, very welcome, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching on catch up. And if you're watching on catch up, where were you? But we're glad that you came back. So thank you. We've got 2 hours of irrelevant, or is that irreverent, or both, maybe, discussion and chat on music technology, particularly synthesizers, because that's what we're into, in case you hadn't guessed. And we'll be doing that for the next couple of hours or so. And we do that completely free of charge. You can watch us at any time right here on the YouTube, and also Twitch and Facebook and X. We tried Instagram and it didn't really work. So those are the 4 key platforms that you can watch us on, and you can discuss and chat with us through the various mediums of either Facebook, X, Twitch, or YouTube, and we will see all of those comments. And if some of them are relevant, we'll throw them up on screen. So if you want to say hi or ask a question, feel free. But most importantly, because we deliver this service free of charge, it doesn't mean the service itself is without cost. And to help us cover the cost, you lovely lot contribute to our funding to the tune of 100%. Basically, you guys keep us on air, and we are just so incredibly grateful. We give up countless hours a week and 2 on a Friday to bring you this show every week, and we love doing it, and we do it even if we had to pay to do it. But you lot keep us going, and you do that by donating to us, and also by subscribing to us and giving us a like and a comment, because it all helps generate advertising income through places like YouTube and so on and so forth. So if you'd like to give us a like, a thumbs up, or even a thumbs down if you think that this is just rubbish, by all means do. It's fine. It's engagement. The algorithm doesn't really care. And if you'd like to give us a comment, either live in the chat, that'd be fantastic. Or if you're watching on catch up, please do comment below the video if you have anything to say. We do have a regular bunch of people that contribute in that way, and we really appreciate it, because it just shows us that we are connecting with our audience. We are a completely community-led not-for-profit organisation. We don't do this as a living. We do this all out of our spare time. And I'm not just saying that, because we're great. We're not. We just do it because we love doing it. We're not here to make money. We're here to entertain you and to inform you and to kill 2 hours of our dull and boring middle-aged lives. That's basically all it is. So if you could do all of that stuff, that'd be fantastic. Another way you can support us, well, there are 2 other ways you can support us financially. One is to become a Patreon on our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/ guess what? Pro Synth Network. It's easy when you know how. There it is on the screen. That's our Patreon page, and if you subscribe to us there for a minimum of $2, you get to access some exclusive content. For example, we did I did my Super Booth walkabout it was about 3 weeks ago now. And we put that up exclusively on Patreon for about a week or so, and then we made it free to everyone else. But you kind of got that in advance. But also, thanks for Wagyu for that very brilliant comment just there. We will also give away free sound packs that are donated to us by you lot. Particularly here, James Dyson has given us something there for Cherry Audio's Chroma. We had a Cherry Audio exclusive that was only available on our Patreon page. We had, again, more stuff from the wonderful James Dyson, custom presets for the modal Cobalt 8. We've had stuff, again, more. This James Dyson guy is a very generous, prolific individual, and we love him for it. Sound sets for the GX80, but also we've had videos that never got released, and this is where I dump them, so you can get my opinions from back in 2021 on the original PolyBrute, and my opinions on the new one are coming soon. There's the Alex Ball interview, ad-free, that you can get on the Patreon page. And our wonderful friend, Mark Barnes, who I'm thinking of this very evening because the Scotland football squad are kicking off Euro 2024 against the host nation, Germany, as we speak, I think, in about half an hour's time. Go on, Scotland. He's given the sounds for the JDXA, for the Hydra Synth. We mentioned Dominic Hawkins' gear list, which we're going to mention a little bit later on as well. He's also given us samples for the Wave State, and so that's basically, you get lots of cool stuff, and we're adding to that all the time. And we've had lots of people get in touch with us and say, I'd like to give you something to give away. So come and join us. It's a mere $2 per calendar month, and you can give us more if you like. But the other way you can help support us is, of course, through YouTube, by becoming a member on YouTube. And we've had a brand new member. This man accosted me in Sainsbury's in Thorpe St Andrew, which is just on the east side of Norwich one day. And he said, "Excuse me, are you Rob from ProSynth Network?" And because I was wearing my ProSynth Network hoodie, I couldn't really deny it. But no, it was lovely to meet our public, and it was great. And there you go. So he's now become a member, as any of you can, for, again, a mere $2. And we endeavour to give you all the free stuff that we give you on the Patreon page as well. That's really cool. And of course, you can also donate through Super Chat and Super Stickers, and we've had a bunch of those already. For example, Contribubbling from Jason Crouch, $4.99. Thank you very much indeed. I haven't seen this gentleman for a while. Steve, aka Xorb, $4.99. Hope you're well. Haven't seen you for a while. Yeah. Andrew Longhurst, I don't know who he is. Some random geezer from a Womack and Womack video, I seem to recall, with lots more hair. 219, of course, is the show number. Stephen Smith in Australia, thank you for your $10. Peter James Stephen.
Pence. 27 pence, that is.
That's what it is at current exchange, right? Yeah. Peter James Stephen, who you can witness in person with myself at a couple of, or maybe 3 shows this year. We're going to be at Synthesized in Cambridge. We're going to be at Synthfest in Sheffield, and we're going to be at Machine of Brastronica, and we're going to have this amazing emulator display because it's the 40th anniversary of the emulator too. And we felt that just needed celebrating. So Peter has most of the kit. I've got a little bit, and I should be bringing on some other bits and bobs. Come and say hi. Thank you for your donation, Peter. Very, very much appreciated. And finally, Bostic247, regular in the chat. He's on his holly bobs, so he's in a giving mood. Thank you very much for your £10. It is lovely and super and appreciated, and we love all of you for it. Thank you very much indeed to each and every one of you. Let me think. Have I finished doing all of my housekeeping stuff? I've told you where you can find us on social media. You've done the Patreon, we've done the YouTube. If you have a question, stick a big capital Q in front of it, and that helps us identify it, pick it out, put it to one side, and then address it at the appropriate time. And I believe that pretty much wraps all of that up. So without further ado,
moderating tonight?
Have we got any moderators in there tonight? Because sometimes they don't turn up. But it's not that we pay them or anything. It's all voluntary.
Did you give them the night off?
I don't know. I must have done. Is there something going on? Because I honestly, I don't see either Andy Synth Addict, Andrew Brooks, or Ben from Musings. If you're there, gentlemen, say hello and make yourselves known. If not, the chat will just go wild. And yeah, it'll be chaos. So behave yourselves. Otherwise, Mr. Brooks, I'll set him on you retrospectively. And
You'll
he's
get
not very
detention.
good. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a strict taskmaster, is our Mr. Brooks. That voice you hear in the background, of course, is the one and only Mr. Andrew Longhurst.
Yay.
Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see there's so many people giving today. Thank you so much, every single one.
Yeah, Icing the Body Electric has just chucked in a tenner. Thank you very much
Thank you
indeed.
very much. Apparently, you've got to drink from the bottle of whiskey you've got hidden under your desk, though, for Icing the Body Electric. She said earlier. He said earlier.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
I wish I had some.
Ooh.
Yeah. Anyway, good week.
Just one of those. I think you had the same, swimming through treacle this week, trying to just stand still took all the effort, you know. So a bit of work over the weekend for me, I think, just to try and do a catch up. But yeah, you know, we're here. I'm looking forward to wine shortly.
Yes. I'm looking forward to more wine.
That's always a good thing.
Oh, it wasn't my intention. It's that Mrs. Pro Synth Network decided we were going to have wine with dinner tonight, which we rarely do. But we did. So I've had a couple of small glasses already.
So you might be a little pickled.
No. Maybe my filter has slightly opened a little bit, if you know what I mean. I've dropped the resonance, but increased the filter opening.
I'm going to have to just tone it down a bit. And talking of little pickles,
don't wake him up.
Do you know how interesting that bit of carpet is? How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm down here going, oh, they'll shut up in a minute.
Well, you will turn up late. I mean, was it a case of...
I wasn't late. Been here ages.
Yeah. Basically, like I said, you were sat downstairs and something went ping on the iPad and said, Pro Synth Network show has gone live. And you went, oh, I'm on that.
No, Fiona went, aren't you doing the show tonight? Oh, hang on. Yeah, you're right, I am. I've had such a mental day. Oh, God. Yes, it's just been nuts today.
Okay. Nuts and bolts or just...
I feel like a magpie with a snail gift card. Essentially. So, there you go.
Put that one in the book.
I hope that put that into perspective for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kinda.
You know what I mean, don't you?
Yeah.
So.
Bless. Anyway, there we go. Yeah. There's the three of us waving our fists at clouds this week again, as we normally do. Do I seem a little bit... I look a little bit... Do I need... No, I can't go any brighter than that. I just look like I was maybe a little dull.
You're just naturally dim.
Perhaps.
Yeah, maybe I don't need to shave. That's what it is.
Yeah,
It's terrible. It's working from home like it's you completely
Takes me
forget
forever to
all
go
of
in
your...
between the wrinkles.
Yeah.
I don't bother anymore.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome everyone to the show. Thanks to everyone that's joined us, everyone that's sitting there in the chat. I still haven't seen any moderators. So you lot better behave. Who's going to be the classroom snitch? Who in the chat do we think will be the classroom snitch and tell on people being naughty? I wonder.
Ian.
Yeah, I reckon Ian Cole was probably a little bit of a teacher's pet. Yeah.
Girly swap.
I expect to see an apple on my desk before you leave.
What, an M1? M2?
I think he's just been unfairly profiled there.
See, he admits it.
Oh, there you go then.
See, he admits it. See, he's begging now. This
Oh,
doesn't
swatty
become you,
Ian.
doesn't become you. Anyway, welcome everyone to the show. Shall we start? We actually have.
Oh, okay.
We actually have some stuff to talk about, and it's one of those things like, where do we start? I mean, I don't want to burn through the interesting stuff too soon, but then again, there's not a huge amount, but there's more than normal. Certainly in the last couple of weeks. I think we should start with a freebie. I think we should start with something that all of you can go and download right now and use on your computers to make music with.
Is it a virus?
It's not a virus.
Okay.
It's a sequential 6-track.
Same thing.
Well, so we love Bjorn's work at Full Bucket Music. He's been doing stunning work for many years, and just the other day, he released the Sixtrak with a Q, which is, of course, an emulation of the Sequential circuit Sixtrak with a K, which was a little bit more than just a kind of a regular synthesizer. But let's have a quick little listen, shall we, to a demo. I have to go and get this one from somewhere else, so you're going to have to bear with whilst I find the video file. I'm so good at this, aren't I?
Bear with, caller.
Oh, here it is. I've got it here, right here. Let's have a little listen to this. We could go on, but I kind of stuck with that because at the beginning you go, and then it builds and it starts to get a little bit more. Oh, that's nice.
And as soon as he does the tuning in the double poly mode, you suddenly go, "Oh, that's the sound."
Yeah, well, actually, total respect for not putting £30,000 worth of special effects on it as well.
Exactly,
and let you hear exactly what you're getting.
Yeah,
with no fear.
The Sixtrak was quite a unique little instrument because by definition of its name it had this kind of 6-track sequencer thing going on. I'm not overly familiar with it, so I'm going to defer to my learned friend who's probably had a few through his hands over the years. Mr. Spong.
One
really? Just one?
Just the one.
Wow.
Yeah, they clearly don't fall over as much as the Rev 2s.
Indeed. So what's inside a 6-track in terms of the sequential stuff? Is it something we'd be familiar with, or is it something unique?
If memory serves, because this is quite a few years ago as well when it came in, but it's essentially, I suppose you would call it a cut down version of P5 voicing.
Right.
So if memory serves, it's one VCO per voice rather than the two. But essentially, it's kind of it's Prophet 5 Lite.
Okay.
Shall we say?
But the unique thing is it's this onboard sequencer.
Yeah.
Which kind of gives it this unique sound that you can make with it.
Absolutely.
And it becomes a little bit more useful than just a regular thing. Of course, because it's in software, Bjorn's been able to expand on that. It's now 96 voice polyphonic. It's a very close simulation of the original hardware, so they say. Features the classic self-resonating 4-pole low-pass filter with individual envelopes for the oscillators, the filters, and the amplifiers, which is always nice to have. I'm not a massive fan of one envelope for everything. But of course, it's a software plugin and comes in VST2, VST3, AAX, clap, and audio units. And the best bit is, it doesn't cost you anything at all. It's completely free of charge. But I would certainly recommend donating through the big donate button that's on the page.
Oh, it's definitely worth a donation, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
there's a lot of work on it now. Yeah, a lot of work on it.
As you can see down on the left-hand side there, Bjorn has got a CV as long as your arm, quite literally, of some amazing synthesizers. And we've had companies in recent months come up with free synthesizers, and promote them like they were completely like the first company to ever do it. This guy churns out some amazing stuff. It's all free. Buy him a coffee or a beer. It's the least you can do. But I mean, everything he makes is a no-brainer. You just download it and put it in there, and away you go. Andrew, did you have any experience with the original Sixtrak? Have you tried this one?
No, I've done both. Curiously,
okay.
So it came in around about the birth of MIDI, I think, and there was a controller for it. You could actually program it from, and I can't remember which computer. It might have been a Commodore.
It's Commodore 64, wasn't it?
I think it was.
Yeah.
And I had a couple of pals who were just, you meet these brilliant songwriters and bands. They perform live. They're amazingly gifted, and they never quite got there. They got signed a couple of times, but never quite made it over the line, and they should have done. It was just one of those, a classic kind of. But they used to bring this in. They got this very early on with one of their advances from a record company, and the things they were doing with this thing. I remember when they first brought it in, and they're doing this stuff, and then we're multi-tracking it. We're having to use SMPTE and converters, LTC converters and things. But my God, they made it absolutely dance. And he'd do sort of the analog version of what's happening here, which he'd play it down and then play it back again, tuning everything slightly differently, so you get that thickness, and do the panning and things, and it actually ended up sounding better in many ways the way he did it than the Prophet 5. And I've always liked this. I mean, it was a pain in the arse to control, but my God, it sounded fat when you took the time over it. And it was the fact that you could run it as a standalone as well was quite extraordinary. I like these, and I did download it. I had the briefest of plays before we came on air, and I like it. It's got a nice, the fact that it's made at 96 voice poly. It's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's fat and good, and I like a bit like me.
Indeed,
fat and good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it sits really well. And sorry, the last thing is Kent's right as well. It's not smothering it. They haven't got a bazillion effects and things there. Just straight out the box, it sounds like you want it to, and it's actually, with the way he's done the controllers on it, it's actually relatively simple to program. Yeah, it really is. It's a good thing.
Bjorn has done it again. So go and support him. I mean, give it a try. If you don't like it, delete it, but give it a go, because it won't cost you anything. And if you do like it, drop him a $5.
Drop him a $5 or a tenner,
or
even.
A tenner
these things don't cost nothing to do.
Andy Synth Addict in the chat, who's turned up to moderate. I have the Sequential Max, the Sixtrak's little brother. Both have an iOS editor now called Model 610. So there you go. If you have a hardware one, there is a thing for it. And our other moderator has decided to show his face tonight. Evening, chaps. I used to own an SCI multi-track. It was fab until it wasn't. Went horribly wrong. Most things are fab until they're not.
Most things are, yeah.
Yeah, but HD Substance says, owned one in the 90s, swapped it for a Kawai K1. Silly young boy I was, indeed. Although the K1's not bad, but yeah, if given the choice, I'd probably take the Sixtrak. But there you go. You can now get one for free to work in software on your computer. It works on all platforms, Windows and Mac, and is supporting all of the plugin formats, including the clap format, which seems to have kind of gone quiet a bit just lately.
That's the antibiotics.
Peter James Stevens says, might be another Sixtrak coming your way, Kent. He can't get his blooming battery to fit.
Oh, God.
Talking of batteries, have you done the post yet?
Yes, you're getting it Monday. It will arrive.
Thank you.
You do live in Salford, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Do you know what? I've had a very weird day today because it turned into like a game because early this morning, Fiona had the radio on and All the Worlds came on.
Oh, right.
And they were playing this bit and I sort of like poked her walking by and said, I said, yeah, restored that. And she went, what? I said, the 80. She went, oh, yeah, you did, didn't you? Yeah, you did the All the Worlds 80. I went, yeah. And later on, Enigma Variation thingy, they did that Andrew Lloyd Webber thingy, was on the TV. I went,
oh, yeah, because we were talking about that.
Restored that one? She went, yeah, like that. And then it was a couple of others where I've gone, yeah, I think I restored that as well. Yeah, I think I did that one. And then Brilliant. I had a conversation with a certain person.
A certain person?
A certain person.
Of a shop.
A certain person.
Who needs his moon modular looked at. Mm-hmm. So that's June covered as well.
Excellent.
So I don't know whether it's June 1 or June 2. I don't know which film. It was June 1 or June 2. But so that's covered as well. Nice. I just need Interstellar to make the full set. I don't know if I can repair church organs though.
No.
Yeah.
Which organ did they use for that? Was it the Albert Hall or was it the one in...
No. It was a tiny little thing. I'm trying to remember where it was. It was beautiful.
I think it was St Martin's Church. I think it's down near what used to be... What were the studios called? Marcus Studios? It's in that square somewhere, I think. It's West London sort of thing. West
it's
London.
A beautiful little thing. Very ornate.
Because the one...
Great acoustic space.
The one I'm thinking of... it's funny because when we were at the Royal Albert Hall the other night when we went to see St Vincent, I went to great pains to show my wife the organ in the auditorium. Now I was pointing out and I said, this thing when it goes is thunderous. It's just you have to kind of be there to witness it. But the one I was thinking of was the one in Rugby School, which is Andy Richards' favourite organ. Is the one that he learned to play on many, many, many years ago. And if you don't know who Andy Richards is, shame on you, and go and Google him right now.
Temple Church.
Talking of which, Andrew Brooks has just put me right here. It's Paganini, and it's not. I don't know why I said Enigma, mate.
Didn't they do football stickers? No, that's Panini. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and I knew it was Paganini. I do apologise.
Yeah. Talking of which, he apologises for being late because he's been binge watching Shard Lake. I have no idea, but apparently it's more important than Pro Synth Network.
Isn't that the documentary on bestiality?
Ooh. Quick question for you, Ken.
What?
From DNA Presoc.
Go on.
I'm guessing that's how you pronounce that. Would it be better to own a new Rhodes with MIDI or a vintage Rhodes without? Have you fixed any Rhodes with MIDI installed? I can certainly answer the last bit of the question. No, it's not a synthesizer. It's an electromechanical keyboard.
Yeah, I've done Rhodes.
There have been MIDI retrofits in the past, haven't there, for some of them?
There have, with varying degrees of success. You will be better off buying a new one.
Yeah.
For a couple of reasons, not least of all, spares.
Spares and warranty. Yeah.
Yeah, and the MIDI in the was it Mark 8s now, isn't it?
Yes.
Dan Goldman's Mark 8s. That MIDI is refined and nailed down, and it actually works. So, yes, it's a lot of money, but it's if you want Rhodes, you want the Rhodes sound, and you want reliability and facility. Yeah, get the Dan Goldman one.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Paul, don't worry, he was winding you up. It begins with I live in a place that begins with S, but it's not Salford. Although my sister is in Stockport, which is not too far away. There you go. Now then,
my
just
sister's in
for the
Purgatory.
sake of clarity, Interstellar was recorded in the Temple Church in the City of London, not in West London, nowhere near West London. But
is that Temple as in Temple?
Yeah.
As in the tube stop.
Yeah, but wasn't the organ recorded separately?
No. Oh, you mean separately from the... No, it was all recorded in this church, but then they also did something at Air Lyndhurst.
Right. Okay.
But I don't know if
Not
that
Air
was on them
Longhurst.
as well.
I'll say.
No.
I'll ask. I will ask.
Just ask.
Young man, and he probably go. Oh, I can't remember.
Arcs him.
Arcs him.
I don't know. I've got geezers to do that for me. Who knows?
Geezer.
Yeah, it's all like all that German geezer stuff, isn't it?
German geezer.
Yeah, German.
Anyway, so there you go. Full Bucket Music or fullbucket.de is the website. I'm not entirely sure if our moderators who are late, if they've put the link into the chat. Fullbucket.de
Getting his red marker pen out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm taking names. I'm taking
ass.
names. Anyway, so that's that. There you go. Thank you very much. There is the link in the chat if you want to go and check that out. Go and get it. It's free. Why don't you? Talking of interesting little synthesizers, let's talk about this one a little bit, because this is new, and let me just bring this in here. It's called Q Cynth by Arthur Frey and Janis Muller, or Janis Muller. I'm sure Andy will pick me up on my pronunciation there. This uses quantum mechanics as its inspiration for.
The Schrodinger equation. Yeah,
this is basically it's an experiment, and they've managed to create a synthesizer from it. We can have a listen to some examples rather than me fire it up and play it. Here we go. Let's have a listen to this. It's all about motion, really, in the sound. As you can see here, it has a fairly nice and very simple and straightforward interface. So you have a wave setting, simulation setting, potential settings, envelope, filter, and general. So it's very simple slider-based thing with a nice graphical representation of what's kind of going on with the sound wave. And I was playing with this, and it did crash a couple of times. I was just messing around with the settings just to see kind of what I could get from it, and it did crash a couple of times. But yeah, this is a free scientific experiment. Here's the harmonic oscillator. So this is a harmonic oscillator with its wave moving within a quadratic potential closely mirroring the expected behavior.
Of course,
so they say. The tunnel effect. This video demonstrates the tunnel effect, a typical quantum phenomenon not found in classical physics, as particles seemingly pass through barriers. To some of that, it sounds very interesting. What it can do, you can actually download the paper creating a synthesizer from Schrodinger's equation. I am not familiar with Schrodinger's equation, only his cat, and we're not sure if that's dead or not.
His cat probably wrote it.
Yeah, but I just think this is an interesting thing. I mean, I think we were having a conversation. I don't know if it was on here or whether it was on one of the pubs, or maybe it was just something I was dreaming. But we were talking about the advancement of synthesis and how most of the big advancements had already happened and finished about 20 years ago, and that what's happened since has just been variations on the theme. And what we're seeing nowadays is more invention in the terms of performance and expression. So, we're seeing lots of keyboards with varying different types of MPE and polyphonic aftertouch and, morphing and all this kind of stuff. So it's not so much the synthesizer engines that are changing, it's the way we're actually interacting with those engines. But this is nice because it is something I've never heard of quantum physics being used in a synthesizer before. And I really, ought to read the paper to sort of kind of grasp what these guys are at. But this is, again, it's a free of charge synthesizer that you can download and just mess around with, and it just does one thing pretty simply, but with some complex outcomes. Did you guys get a chance to play with this at all? Or do you have thoughts on using quantum mechanics or quantum physics, should I say?
Yeah.
Nick Howe's made an interesting comment. I thought I starred it, so I'm now going to have to scroll through. That's it, because I said it crashed, but Nick says, but if you didn't see it crash, did it crash? Which is very quantum. But anyway, I digress. Thoughts?
Yeah. Sorry, Kent, go. You look like you were about to launch into one. Do it, mate.
Well, if it was a 2600, I'd say it was broken. It has all the attributes of an analog synthesizer that is very, very, very unwell. How this would be implemented is yet to be seen, clearly. But it's definitely a new way of looking at things. Who knows what can come out of that?
Yeah.
You know? But, I don't know if I would understand how it worked. So I'll just wait dice some presets for it. That's what I do.
Yeah. Because with that interface, let me just bring this back up here. There are some drop-down menus, as you can see, and I don't know if this video actually shows them being used. But there are lots of different waveforms that you can employ, and it does start to get quite complex in terms of its tonal capabilities by setting all these things up in slightly different ways. And it's very immediate and very quick to come up with something that's interesting. And yes, it's raw. There are no effects going on here.
Yeah.
And it is, it's got traditional, envelopes and filters, but the way it actually generates the tone is different. And I'm all for different. What do you reckon, Andy?
I freaking hate it. Where's my cloud? I can shake my fist at. I freaking hate it when people say things like quantum mechanics synths. It's not. What it's using is an equation as a way of controlling a sound engine or sound generation, which there's already a gazillion of those out in modules all over the place, and in various synths that have big patch bays, all sorts of synths have already got lots of things. I didn't hear a single thing in there. And I did play with it very briefly. It didn't crash for me, but I didn't have enough time to break it. I didn't hear a single thing that I couldn't get somewhere else. It was kind of I wanted to be impressed and interested, and it made some nice enough sounds. But it reminded me, for exactly that, for wave shaping, or I'm not sure it's doing any audio transforms per se. I'm just not sure if it is. But we've seen a lot of this kind of thing in the past, and it's just a different equation. It's a particular equation that's associated with quantum mechanics, but it's not using quantum mechanics to make sound. It's not.
No.
That would be really interesting, and there's a project going on which we'll talk about at some point, where that is a very interesting, fascinating thing. But it's all right. It's free. Go and play with it. Fill your boots. Like Kent, I think it sounds broken at the moment. It just sounds like.
I mean, what normally happens? Yeah, what normally happens with these new ways of doing things is that they take that technology and they try and make it do what every other synthesizer does. Look, we can do this too, but it's when they start going beyond that and say, look what we can do that the others can't, and look how different this sounds and how much more control or more refined control you have over it. So it's early days yet. Who knows? This might. But
I'm not sure it is doing anything new. That's what I'm saying.
It was
at the moment it's
echoes of Fismo and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
In that sound, wasn't it? I suppose, but
we'll have to wait and see what they do. And I'm going to play around with it some more, and maybe I'll come back on next week and go, do you know what? I was wrong. It's the best thing since sliced bread. But
God, what do I know? I only found out today that there is something that's faster than the speed of light.
A tachyon.
I always thought light was the fastest.
Nelly going after a tennis ball.
Oh, telling Nelly I need a coffee. Jesus.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's faster than the speed of light. But Q Cynth is available free of charge. QCynthy.com. Go and download and have a play with it. See what you think. Read the paper. See if you understand anything. Because I almost certainly won't. But,
hit the cat with a cricket bat.
Yeah, it's a free synthesizer. So go and fill your boots again. So there you go. QCynthy.com.
It would be really good to get other people's, people in the chat. It'd be really good to get your feedback on this as well. Cause,
absolutely.
Maybe I'm just being a curmudgeonly old bugger tonight. But,
why am I looking windswept and interesting? What's going on?
Well, you're looking windswept.
What is going on with that?
Well, I don't know. It's just steady.
What is that?
Right, let's move on, shall we?
That's quite mechanics. There you go, in your hair.
Let's talk about this. Actually, Kent, I'd like to know your thoughts on this. Being that you are, or have been for a long time, trying to build your own unique synthesizer.
Yeah.
There now seems to be something that might help you in your designs. I don't know. You tell me. Let's have a quick look at the video before we go any further.
This is Labora, a prototyping station made for anyone looking to design their own synthesizer circuits from scratch. It comes equipped with everything you need to set up and test your ideas. A built-in dual power supply providing Eurorack-compatible voltages with short-circuit protection for safe experimenting. A modular interfacing section with 16 slots for potentiometers, jack sockets, and switches. A pulse, triangle, and sine wave oscillator that works both in the audio and the LFO range. A multi-mode envelope generator controlled by a mechanical push button. A buffered variable control voltage source. An output amplifier with variable gain. A dedicated headphone output and a line level output for recording, processing, or analyzing the signal. And an expansion slot for installing specialized prototyping tools. You can get it as a partial DIY kit in 2 different configurations, either as the basic version, which includes the device itself, a bag of jumper cables, and an array of interfacing elements like potentiometers, jack sockets, and switches, or as the full version, which adds a whole suite of extra components like resistors, capacitors, chips, and transistors that are commonly used in DIY synth circuits. That way, you can start building right away without having to source components yourself. To see how prototyping with Labora works, let's set up a simple transistor-based VCA. We'll first need to hook up the power supply to the breadboard. For that, we simply connect the power header to the breadboard's power rails using the included jumper cables. That breadboard is a high-quality busboard BB830 model, by the way, because there's nothing more frustrating than working with a cheap, unreliable breadboard. Next, let's set up the VCA itself. It uses just 5 components: a generic NPN transistor, a 1 microfarad capacitor, a 33K and a 100K resistor, and a standard small signal diode. All of these components are included in the full Labora kit. Finally, we need both an audio signal to feed into the VCA and a control voltage to open it up. Normally, I'd use external gear here, but with Labora, we can save ourselves the headache. For the audio input, we'll simply grab the integrated oscillator, and for the control voltage, we'll use the envelope generator. To listen to the VCA's output, we'll also need to amplify it. No need to set up additional circuitry for this, though. With Labora, we can simply take the VCA's output and send it to the integrated amplifier.
I'm going to stop it there because it goes on a little bit longer, but it works, is the thing. And in that top left-hand corner, what you can actually have, you see where it says Labora there, you pop that plate out and you can add in a little oscilloscope. So you can now start to see the consequences of what you're doing on that breadboard. This isn't for me, but I like this. I like that this exists as a kit. And you can start designing your circuits, building your circuits, having, getting... I don't know. I mean, I've never built a synthesizer from scratch. Kent has built lots of components from scratch towards something, but is this something that would interest you, or because you breadboard stuff, I know that.
Yeah. You see, the thing is, I basically built my own anyway. Now, if you're building a synth or whatever on that breadboard, obviously a small knowledge of electronics would be useful. And if you have said knowledge, you could basically make that yourself anyway. Because I noticed it was like, what was it, 150 euro?
170 for the basic kit, 195 for everything.
Yeah. Well, breadboard's not that expensive. Yeah, I can see, it's convenient. It is convenient. And yeah, I can see people buying this and, with something to work through. It's nice and contained. It's just normally, if there's somebody who's into electronics, they got a lot of that stuff. It already exists and around them.
Yeah.
And they just lay it out on the desk and get on with it. But yeah, I can see the appeal. I can see the appeal of this, but it wouldn't be for me because I've already got probably built my own, as it were. So
yeah. But
it's an interesting concept. I'm surprised nobody's thought of that before. Actually.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I just think it's a very well thought out design. Everything's there. You just put your components in. You press the big white button. Does it do what you want it to do? Because there's an oscillator on board and it's got an amplifier. So you design your circuit, press the button. Does it do what I want it to do? If not, I can just mess around with the components until I get it to do that. I can check its output via an oscilloscope that plugs in the top left-hand corner there.
Yeah.
I'd say this isn't for me. I have no patience. My fingers are too fat for messing around with tiny little components like this. Just not my thing. But I like it. I like the ingenuity and the ability that it gives people to mess around with this.
You're not going to make anything too complicated with a breadboard that size.
I think so. No. Here's my thing on this. Can I share something? Here we go.
Of course.
So if you go onto their website, they have a user manual, a PDF, which has examples of different circuits and uses very poor drawings, but some really good text to explain how the electronics work, what each of the components might do. And it's a really complete guide. So if I'm brutally honest, I know enough about designing electronic circuits to blow anything up. And I know enough to be dangerous to say capacitor, transistor, some other resistor, diode. I can say all those words and I kind of understand what they do, but I wouldn't know how to put an electronic circuit together from scratch.
No.
What I like about this is it's the kind of thing I want to give to every kid in school and everyone I know that doesn't know anything about electronics, including me, because I should. I freaking well should know this stuff. Like Robbie's not for Robbie. It's not really for me, but it is because I feel like I should know this stuff. So I get what you're saying, Kent, but I think anything which is inculcating an ability to learn hands-on about what electronic circuits are. And the really good thing about this, I know it's expensive, sort of, but the really good thing is it's almost impossible to do something wrong. It won't allow you to do a short circuit.
Exactly, yeah. It's got a safety circuit built in.
And it's got lots of examples in the user manual, which you can download. And in fact, I suggest you just download the manual to start with. It's a really, really good read about what electronics are that are used, exactly what the circuits are and why they're like they are. I think it's a brilliant resource. I've got to applaud them for this, definitely.
Yeah.
Although YouTube actually exists, honestly, there are YouTube videos that cover everything and so comprehensively. Literally anybody could learn how to build just about anything from these YouTube videos, to which there are millions.
YouTube videos are great, But when it starts getting complex, you have to keep pausing and going back and pausing and going back. A book, a proper book or a manual or something that's printed, you can, at your own pace, go through and you can see all of it at the same time. You're not having to...
Nearly all of these are backed up by PDFs or even a website.
Okay. But I like this one.
It exists.
To like this one. It speaks to me, and it's got very simple drawings.
I'm surprised that something like this hasn't really been done before. The price is a little,
Yeah, things have, but they've not been aimed at particularly synthesis. This one, because it's focused on this, that's its premise. I don't think it has a like a balancing amp as an output, a mixer sort of thing, but it doesn't have a VCA. You have to build that. You have to build a filter, and you have to learn all this stuff as you're doing it. But I think it's a great thing.
But it is a bit pricey. It is a bit pricey.
Well, I mean, is €180 pricey for?
Yeah, literally. I just done a quick sort of like what's needed to build it in my head, and I'm getting
5 to 1 bill of materials to what it costs.
About £48 at the moment.
£48.
Yeah.
Bill of materials 5 to 1. It's the rule of thumb for anything you manufacture.
Yeah.
5 to 1. So it's less.
I mean, if you don't know anything about electronics, go for it. If you do, build your own. And build yours to the specs of what it is you want to build as well. Even better.
Surely, and just to be devil's advocate here, if you know as much about electronics to build one of these for yourself, do you then need something like this?
So, I think the other thing here is I don't think this is to build a synthesizer. You don't use this to build a synthesizer.
No, you build components.
You use this
design.
to experiment, to understand the circuit designs, and then you go on to more complex things. But this helps you hands-on learn circuit design and what the different components do, which I think is brilliant. And then you put it to one side and get on and build whatever it is that Kent's been trying to for the last billion years.
Well, technically, then you don't need as much as it's got.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a start. It's a
It sort of it falls into the gap between both camps. So it's very it's hard to define.
But there's a big community out there, as we well know, who for some strange reason are attracted to modular. But there is a massive community of people building their own modules, very basic things, sometimes very complicated things. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who think, I wish I could just build a filter or a VCA or something that had the things that I wanted, and they can find something that gives them a good starting point in terms of the design, and then prototype it on this, knowing that if they put something in the wrong hole, it won't let you short circuit. You short, but it won't let you. It won't damage any components, because as soon as you turn it on, if it detects an issue, it just stops the power going through. So it's a safe little place to do it, and I can see people.
Go for first steps.
Yeah, it interests me because I don't have any knowledge of this, and I guess for somebody like you, Kent, who does have quite an extreme level of knowledge, this probably isn't for you. You're not the target audience, I guess.
No, I can see the convenience of it though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can sit with that on my lap and do pokey like that.
For a first timer, I think it would be great.
Yeah, I can see that. Definitely see that.
Lovely jubbly. Right, that's Erica Synth's Labora. I put the link in the chat, so go and scroll through. I'll put it in again. Look, there we go.
I've put it in as well.
So it's everywhere now. It's everywhere. Erica Synth, take note. Send us a free one.
Brought to you by PSN.
Yeah, indeed. Let's see, what can we talk about next? New firmware. Let's talk about some new firmware for things that already exist, because we are rather low on new gear, because obviously Superbooth happened a few weeks ago and everybody did a massive dump right there and then. So we're now left with the little dribs and drabs, and one such thing that got a lot of people excited was the new firmware for the Waldorf M. There it is. So the Waldorf M has got a new release candidate firmware, which adds algorithmic oscillators. In fact, the algorithmic oscillators that you find on the Mutable Instruments braids, which is interesting. So it's added a whole bunch of stuff. I want to preface this with the fact that this is a release candidate, otherwise known as it's still in beta. So if you have got a Waldorf M or a Waldorf M16, then upload this at your own
peril.
What's the word? Peril, yes. Because I'm sure it's absolutely fine, but it's not an official release just yet, but it will be soon. So Vladdy is the developer for this stuff and has released this new update, and I'll play the video for you in just a moment. He put a whole thing up on Gearspace, and there's a link there to download the software. So if you've got a Waldorf M, you can go and get that there. But the first thing that it's done, which seems to be pretty standard now, is given it an MPE update. So it's now able to utilize MPE to some degree. As we all know, no MPE things are identical, but this has got basic MPE support and a promise of an expanded and updated feature set as they go through. But the most exciting thing is this third oscillator mode called algorithmic oscillators, which is something apparently that Vladdy and a colleague of his had been discussing for some while. And they've used the open source oscillators from Mutable Instruments, of course, designed by Emily Gillet, that are used in the braids module. And it gives you four algorithms: a virtual analog algorithm, a CS80 saw algorithm, a wavefolding algorithm, and a 3x sawtooth. Now, they go to pains to point out that these are not 100% identical to the braids algorithms, so there's not always going to be some compatibility going on there. But what they're suggesting is that the Waldorf M can run what amounts to 16 braids in the 8-voice model and 32 for the 16 voice. So it's quite a powerful thing. And from what I'm told, there's not a huge amount of memory space available in this thing. So they've really shoehorned this in there, and it's quite impressive that they've just been able to do this. So the release candidate is available. If you've got one of these, you can go and update it. But let's have a quick listen to a demonstration of the MPE-ness that is in there at the moment. I'm going to stop it there just in case we get a copyright strike for the Terminator.
I won't be back.
Yes, he won't be back. So maybe not the best demonstration, but it is it's still it's a beta firmware, but it's a release candidate. So we're hoping that Waldorf will throw that up onto their website fairly soon. But look, the Waldorf M, which was originally meant to be just like a new version of the microwave, one of those wavy things, the microwave 1 and microwave 2. I think it was supposed to be a new improved version of that, and it just seems to be Waldorf seem to be adding to all of their stuff at the moment, and this is another good thing. And I know a bunch of people got very excited about the fact that you got these new braids-esque oscillators in there. None of us have got one of these, so we can't really sort of talk about it with any great authority. But any thoughts on this?
Did you? I couldn't see from the video. I watched him. I was waiting for there to be some massive change, either a filter or modulation or pitch or something, but it didn't seem to do anything. So
something was happening as he was sliding his fingers, but it wasn't
something. But it wasn't particularly pronounced. So it's a bit difficult to tell. But listen, if they're releasing firmware that's banging new oscillators in, and there's 4 new oscillators, and you can have up to 2 essentially per voice. It's a good thing if you own one of these. It's a great thing, you know. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a cheap unit, so it's nice that, you know, you've invested some money. You're going to get still get some mileage out of it. I also read somewhere that in order to free up a little bit of extra space, they took away the font smoothing, so that the fonts look a little different, because they're just trying to save every little ounce of memory space to squeeze all of this stuff in. But it sounds, you know, this has become a very versatile unit, if you know, especially if you like your microwave sounds. Yes. Anyway, there you go. If you want to get that firmware, you can either just pop on to gearnews.com and find the article. All the links are in there. Or you can find Vladdy's post up on Gearspace, which will give you the link to go and download that. But as I said before, please, you upload this at your own peril. If it goes wrong, don't blame us, okay? This is a beta version of software. I'm sure it's absolutely fine, but word of warning, unless it's an officially supported thing, if you put this on and it doesn't work or it breaks your machine, don't go crying to Waldorf.
And so, Ken, have you had many Waldorfs in? What's your have you any
one in his garage?
Yeah, we had Waldorf Wave. That's about it.
The big fold-up screen Wave. I wanted that just because it looks so amazing,
You know it.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Great doorstop.
Have you ever played with one? Do you like the sounds or not?
Yeah, all right. They're all right. I've never warmed enough to want to buy one, but yeah, they sound okay generally.
Yeah.
What's wrong with the one in the garage?
How long you got?
It's got a big red knob.
It has.
Big red knob.
Yeah, it has. But I'm sure that'll clean up.
Indeed. So there you go. Waldorf M new firmware, release candidate 3 is available to download and install at your own risk. Okay, don't say, oh, ProSynth Network said it was okay. We didn't. Okay. There is some more firmware news, and it is the rather marvelous Sonicware Lofi 12 XT, which took the Lofi 12 concept from their Liven range and put it into a sample trek sized format, and they've done an exceedingly good job. Lots of people are very, very happy with this. Well, there's now a new firmware. So there's lots of, I mean, we could go through that. I mean, you can see there's a pretty big list of stuff there. Improvements and fixes to all aspects of the unit. They've taken on board a lot of customer feedback and implemented that where they can, and they just constantly improve. It's a free update to all Lofi 12 XT owners. What's also interesting is that they have added or created a converter. So if you have the Liven Lofi 12, you can't import samples into it. You have to record them in the good old-fashioned way. But you can take the samples that you make in the Lofi 12, the Liven Lofi 12, and now spit them out in a sysx format, take that sysx file and throw it into this browser page, and it will spit out the WAV file, which you can then upload into your Lofi 12 XT. So there's this new conversion tool, which is very handy if you've bought into the whole Lo-Fi thing with Sonicware. Again, another free little thing. I haven't had much of a chance to play around with the updated firmware on mine because I just don't have the time. But I can vouch for its authenticity and the fact it goes on very quickly and very nicely. But yeah, there's not really a lot more to say about that. But if you are a Lofi 12 XT owner, then go and grab the new firmware from the Sonicware page. It's there free of charge. Very simple update process. Just drop the bin file onto your SD card and then boot it into what do they call it, bootloader mode or whatever, and you can install from there. Very simple process. That's it. There's no demos or anything, so a little boring, that one, I know.
Unless you own one and you've been waiting for this, in which case there's an awful lot in there. There's actually quite a lot of changes in this version. Yeah. So yeah, great.
Vag Poop says that's a great name, by the way. No love for. Whoops. Oh, hang on. Have I got the right one here? Yeah, there you go. See, the Lo-Fi 6, which was this kind of limited one that they did for Perfect Circuit only, in limited numbers, and they had a few left over, so I managed to snag one of those. That's even more lo-fi. Of course, it's half the lo-fi. But no, there's nothing there for that, I'm afraid. It's a nice little unit, it really is. But there we go. Right, let's see, what should we do next? We've done Erica Synths. There's a great video that came out on the YouTube yesterday, and I'm worried about playing it because I know that if I do get a copyright strike, I can go straight to the source and say, please let us have it. So I'm going to mute the sound in the hope that Alex Ball's latest video, his studio tour, which opens up with the best earworm ever, but we're not going to play it, but you can see it's fun and it's interesting. But he's done an hour-long video that is a tour of his studio, which we've seen obviously quite a lot of over the years. And Alex being an absolute goon, writing a catchy, brilliant theme song for this thing, and in the process destroying a small part of his very first synthesizer, the Roland Juno 6, which we'll show in just a moment. But this is a cracking video where he goes through his computer setup, he goes through his pedal setup. We absolutely, as you'd expect, he goes through his wonderful Korg corner, which is an amazing collection of Korg instruments. Then there's all of his drum machines and so on and so forth. And of course, where is it? He's got guitars and amps, which we don't really care about, strings and piano, and of course, the best bit is when he gets to the System 100M equipment that he has, which is rather amazing and lovely. And there is his first analog synth, the Juno 6, sitting in the corner like it's just taken a right beating, and it did. And this was the funny thing. I say it's funny. I would have been horrified. But let me just do some technical stuff here. I'm going to share this video file, which Alex has approved. I said, do you mind if I do this? He said, yeah, go on. So here we go. Let's see if this works. Add this to the stage. See what he did? Look. There she goes. I just had to keep slowing it down and then zooming in. Look. Boof. Ouch. Innit? You feel his pain, you know that pain.
Oh,
yeah. And then it's just this bit at the end. There we go. It is a shocking moment, but it's you kind of had to laugh along with him. He's got replacement keys, so don't worry. It's not going to have to be sent to you, Kent.
I've got loads of Fs.
Well, yes. Was it an F? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
you could tell by the way it broke.
Okay.
No, you couldn't.
What?
He's like fished it.
But
yeah, if it was a knee, it wouldn't have gone up as high.
Right.
Because it's a lower note, you see.
Right, yeah.
But I think haven't we all had mishaps in the studio? I mean, there was the classic one on Sonic State where Gaz knocked his microphone stand and it just very slowly went boom and took out a couple of keys on his sledge. That was
really?
That was live on air. It was so painful. But I've opened things up and not had them supported properly, and then something's gone and something's broken. And you think, and the only person you can be angry with is yourself. And it is a horrible, horrible thing to break something, particularly when the Juno was his first analog synthesizer.
I've never done that.
No, he says as he's wiggling parts off it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never done that.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
But, excuse me, Windy Pops. It is a great video, and it's thoroughly entertaining because it's Alex, and not because we're laughing at his obvious pain and misery towards the end. At the very end of that video, it's a horrible thing. What's the worst thing you've broken in your studio, Ken? Is it can you talk about it? It might have been a customer's thing.
Windy Pops for me as well.
I think when something, things always get broken and stuff like that. I mean, it's an occupational hazard when you've got to lump these things around as much as I do. But what makes it's not so much what breaks; it's how rare the bit is that breaks.
Oh yes, yeah. And it's generally quite rare, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you get little things like when the paint come off the front of the Kraftwerk vocoder.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, just getting the dust off with some foam cleaner, which is so delicate, but it just went. And I go, because he'd hand painted it in watercolor. I didn't know he'd hand painted it in watercolor.
Oh no!
So it just went, and it's going. Well, that's very aluminium looking now. Oh, that's so that's something that has to be dealt with still. But let's think. I have accidentally thrown a keyboard out, the actual keyboard mech. I threw it out. I'd thrown out the wrong one. I'd thrown out the good one, and still had the old one. And that was I think it was a 61 note Pratt Reed for a PPG Wave 2.1 or 2.0.
Yeah.
And had to chase the bin man down the road to get it back. Yeah. So he wasn't too badly hurt either.
I seem to remember there was a video circulating years ago now, and I know who it is, and it just won't. Of someone by a canal in Amsterdam with a bunch of flight cases and something on top of it that was expensive. I think it was a Fairlight or something like that, which ended up just rolling down.
Going in the drink.
Yeah, going in the drink. Yeah. I remember that, but I can't remember who it was or exactly what it was.
Oh, admittedly, the stuff that I leave in the garden, and it gets rained on, everything like that, is already completely buggered.
Yeah.
There's nowhere. There's no coming back with it, and because there's so many people who just do not come and collect their stuff, you run out of room. So it ends in the stuff that would normally be, under a bit of tarpaulin out in the garage or something like that, is in the garden at the moment because there's no room anywhere else.
Why do you think it is people drop stuff off with you and they don't pick it up? Because,
it's hard work. It's hard work. See, you got the enthusiasm of getting something repaired, and they come down and they leave it with you. Then when it comes to having to pay, and then travel down there to collect it, the enthusiasm wanes.
How much do you pay them?
As much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Whatever I've got on me at the time. So.
Yeah.
So,
no, I was just trying to think what mishaps I've put scratches on things or broken little bits when I've been trying to repair them. I don't think I've had a massive failure or breakage.
I've had very few accidents, but when I have had them, they have been horrible. I went up to make a cup of coffee, and when I came back, the soldering iron that I had left had fallen out of its holder. Perhaps by a dog just hitting the cable or something as they were walking out with their tail, and dropped it down onto the front panel of a Jupiter 8. And it melted all the display and a few keys, and it was just wedged in the keys with just smoke coming out of it.
Shit, man.
Fortunately, I had everything in stock.
Wow. I think I've knocked a couple of rotary encoders off of things. Just walk past and dinked it carrying something. You just donk. But generally, I think I've got one or two spares still of rotary encoders for various things. So, but yeah, pain in the arse when you do it.
My son,
it's more fun when the customer's actually there with you. And because on one horrible occasion, and to this day we're not quite sure why it did it, but it did. The guy come to collect his Pro 1, pretty straightforward keyboard. He wanted to try it out before he took it. He plugged it in, and it just smoke poured out of it from every orifice from under the keyboard, the lot.
Wow.
And he looked at me and he goes, "Oh, I think I've broken it." I go, "No, I don't think it's supposed to do that, full stop, no matter who you are."
Yeah.
So it was new caps and everything. It was 40 caps, brand new caps, but they were 40.
Really?
But they were working fine. But when he came round to try it out, they decided, "Nah, do you know what? I've had enough."
Yeah.
And just out the bottom.
An hour and a half is enough for any cap. Yeah.
So I fixed it while he waited. He was all right.
That's right.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, indeed. No, I'm paranoid about doing that stuff, so much so that I'm buying a couple more flight cases for moving things around.
Yeah.
I'm just paranoid about doing something silly. I now get to the point now when I'm taking something apart, I will do it one bit at a time, and I'll put them into little put the screws into trays. I'll even put them in the order that they came out, so they go back in the same order. I'm just petrified of breaking something, so I try not to delve in too much. It was like, I say that, I do Fairlight stuff, but the Fairlights are so robust and resilient that the things that you can break on a Fairlight are generally quite easily fixable, apart from the hinges on the front doors.
Well, imagine when those main smoothing caps go, you'll know about it.
Oh yeah, the caps on stuff. I had a tantalum go up rather badly a couple of years ago, but it's a component on a board, and so I just whip that board out and put a new one in and send the old board back to Peter to get it resorted. And so, but the things like the hinges, on the drop down panel in the front, they were never, they always kind of go brittle, although there are 3D printed versions now that are much more sturdy. But they are built like brick outhouses, so
yeah.
I get worried about this thing, about knocking this and knocking it off the stand and all that, because it's my brand new. You know what it's like with Well, it's not brand new now. It's 6 months, 9 months old.
Still,
but I just get terrified of doing something daft to it and knocking a knob off or whatever.
My current fear. So I've got that M1 rack mount.
Oh, with the
but it's got the card. The H
Yeah.
card in it, and it sticks out by about 3 inches.
Yeah.
So I've made because I've currently got the
That
Juno on
much?
top of it. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, no, but
She's not watching.
yeah.
that much I said.
Yeah, and so I've moved the Juno that's currently sat on top of that and the TX802 forward, so that if I were to walk into that, maybe in the night when I'm sleepwalking or something, then I'll hit the Juno first, which is much more solid and stable, and I won't snap the card, but it does stick out. That's it worries me a little bit, but anyway.
That's why I was expected a lot more broken keys on Odysseys.
Yeah,
But didn't.
with the overhang.
Yeah, it's quite significant. I've caught me, trouser pocket on walking by one before now.
Yeah.
But then you tend to pull the whole thing with you.
Yeah, you have to get the screwdriver out and straighten them up again.
I did have early doors when I first got my Jaspers. I wasn't aware of locking rings. Nobody told me about locking rings. And I had a moment where I think it was on the 4th or the 5th tier, the keyboard just started going like this, and as it started sliding down, I was like, "What's that noise?" And I turned around, and there it was. I managed to kind of catch whatever it was. I think it was the DX11 or something. I caught it before it hit anything else or landed on the ground and broke anything. So that's when I learned about locking nuts, or sort of locking rings, should I say.
Locking rings,
on the Jaspers.
On the
Very
Jaspers,
important.
Yeah.
Rocking ling.
But I will say that once they're up and you've tightened them up and in, They don't move at all. They're very, very good. But yeah, I think the locking rings was a lesson. Anyway, there we go. That killed some time a little bit about breaking stuff. But go and check out Alex Ball's video. It's called Studio Tour. It's got a brilliant introductory song. It's a proper earworm, and it's very funny. And it just goes to show his immense talent. He makes you sick, and I hate him.
Yeah, you hate him, don't you?
Yeah, I hate him, but I love him. And he reckons we should all do that dance at Synthfest. But well away from any Junos. So there you go. Right, let's see what else has been happening in the world of music technology. This one. Let's see.
Fun things.
This isn't an instrument as such per se, but it's a collection, and the clue is in the name, of effects from Arturia. Arturia continue to churn out some wonderful new things. This is FX Collection 5, which is now 34 tools and production effects, from authentic analog emulations to innovative modern plugins engineered to help you discover your unique sound and make it impactful. It's currently on offer, normally €4.99. You can have it for $3.99. However, if you are an Arturia user and you've already got some FX collections, whether it's one of the previous ones or whether you've bought some of them individually, which you can for about €99 per plugin, you will get a discounted price, and that's valid until the 7th of July. So log into your Arturia account to get your best FX Collection 5 price. Well, what's the difference between 5 and 4? There have been 2 new plugins slipped into the collection quietly through the back door. One is the Bus Exciter 104, which recreates the classic audio signal enhancer with dual module architecture, simple to use workflow, and authentic design. Then there's the Bus Peak, which is a limiter effect that combines tone control, clipper, and limiter features alongside comprehensive metering. They've also thrown in EFX Motions and EFX Refract, which are already available as standalones. So they now all come in the collection. This goes very much the same way that the V collection does. They will release 1 or 2 items individually, and then when they put the new version of the package out, they'll put those into the package along with a couple of other new things as well. What's interesting is that we're on FX Collection 5, and it's a very well-respected collection of plugins. And as you can see there's 4 compressors, 3 bus masters, 5 modulation effects, 3 creative effects, a tape effects, preamps, EQs, reverbs, delays, distortions, and filters. I remember it wasn't that long ago that Arturia first did their effects plugins, and it was 3 plugin effects you'll actually use. That's how they branded them, and they were just 3 basic, straightforward. I think there was a reverb, a modulation effect, and I think maybe a compressor. I can't remember now exactly, but they were just billed as 3 effects that you'll actually want to use. And now here we are with a collection of 34 of these things, and they do some pretty cool stuff. Insta-buy for me, I've already got the FX Collection 4, so it was a small jump to 5 for me, but there's some really, really good stuff. Do any of you guys use the Arturia FX plugins at all?
Yeah. Using them last night.
Oh, yes, we were, yeah. I mean, my favourite's the LX24 and the Dimension D. I stick that literally on every channel because I'm just like so 80s.
How CPU heavy are they?
Not very. Not very at all. They are very efficient plugins, and they sound really good as well. Yeah. Got some great reviews as well.
The LX24 is a very good one. I've used that with the 80, and you do definitely get that kind of Nemo vibe to the sound of the 80 through it. Yeah. That only a good lexicon emulation is going to be able to do.
Yeah. Now these are very, very good plugins, and you can buy most of these individually if you just want 1 or 2. But for the price of the package, it's like V collection. It all of a sudden each plugin sort of becomes 15 quid or something. If you buy the package, it's very.
Is there quite a discount if you own 4?
Yes.
Yeah, the LX24 is €99 by itself.
Yeah.
So, that's one and there's another 33.
Yeah.
If they're useful to you.
Yeah, it's incredibly good value for money, and they're very, very good plugins, and not, as you say, not CPU heavy in the slightest. Yeah, nice little collection. That one's always kind of falls under the radar because they're tools rather than actual instruments. But
you're missing when they're not there.
Exactly. I mean, like I say, that LX24 and the Chorus Dimension D, which obviously we know what they're based on. Stick those on any synth channel, and they'll instantly sound amazing, or more amazing. So, yeah, and as Davy the Hug Monster points out in the chat, it's also worth pointing out, and this one just dropped just before the show, that they've announced all white versions of the Keylab Mark III Essentials as well. So you've now got the 49 and the 61 key versions of the Keylab 3 Essential controllers. So they're all in Arctic white. So everything is white, keys and all, the whole thing.
Nice.
Expect more from Arturia later on this year. They haven't stopped celebrating their 25th anniversary yet. There's some new cool stuff coming from them down the line. But right now, FX Collection 5 is available. As I say, it's on offer. If you've never bought it before and don't own anything else of theirs, it's €399. But if you have stuff on your Arturia account, go to arturia.com, links in the chat, sign in, and you'll be shown instantly what your price is for FX Collection 5. And I bet it'll be discounted. There you go. Right, let's see what else have we got. We've done Waldorf, we've done Sonicware. I think this is the last bit of news. We do have a little thing that we can talk about just to fill the last half hour or so. But this has been on the cards for a while. This is Cakewalk. So those of us long enough in the tooth to remember Cakewalk back in the day was a Windows only digital audio workstation that was predominantly very popular that side of the Atlantic, more so than it was over here. Over here, we tended to favour either Logic or Cubase, but Cakewalk had a massive following in the US and a fairly decent following over here because it was a very powerful, affordable Windows only digital audio workstation that kept up with the big boys very, very well. But Cakewalk eventually kind of disappeared after a while, and were brought back to life when they were acquired by BandLab, who I believe are a Singaporean-based company. And BandLab promised, nay guaranteed, that they would maintain the platform, maintain the development, and bring it into fully on into the 21st century. You can get Cakewalk by BandLab still for free for your Windows only machines, and it provides a set of music production tools. But now Cakewalk Next, which is cross-platform, so Mac and Windows, and their flagship product Sonar are back. Beta has finished. These are released versions, and you can download them right away. To use them, however, you're going to need a BandLab subscription, which is $14.95 a month. So $14.95 a month then gets you access to the complete feature set of these applications. And Sonar is an incredibly powerful tool, but it is Windows only. So there's no way that I could even try a trial. I wouldn't want to try. I wouldn't want to trial something on a virtual machine. I'd rather try it on a proper one, and I don't have a proper Windows machine. So lots of tools that come with it, and it's a very powerful DAW. And then you've got Cakewalk Next, which is more of an ideas machine. If you imagine GarageBand and Logic, Cakewalk Next and Sonar is kind of the same sort of thing, or similar sorts of things. One's a cut down version, one is the full on doodah. But of course, Cakewalk Next is cross platform. Now, I didn't see any indication that they were going to make Sonar Mac compatible, but I would have thought they ought to. I mean, it's a bit market to.
I think the code base is such that they, it's too much of a I think it's too much of a engineering. It works brilliantly. I love Sonar. I absolutely love it. I mean, I'm using Cubase and I use all sorts of other things, but I really, really like Sonar. And for years, I've wanted to share it with all my Mac mates, but they're all using either Logic or Pro, whatever it's Pro Tools and or Cubase, etc., Reaper. And every time if they come and do a session with me and I'm using Cakewalk, they just kind of they lose their shit over it. They just go, "That's brilliant," because everything, the whole creative process through Sonar, through what was Cakewalk Sonar, has just become so clean, and you can do so much so quickly with it. All the stuff that the really expensive platforms have, and up until recently, it was completely free. Free. You just had to have you could just sign in, be a registered, not paid for BandLab account member. I think they're changing that now, but I think
Cakewalk for BandLab, or Cakewalk by BandLab, to give it his name, was still remain free.
Okay,
that's the impression I got. Sonar and Next.
Sonar. Okay. Yeah. It's an amazing thing. It's a shame it's not cross-platform. Next is another.
Yeah.
Is another, handy tool to have. What else are you going to take with you? You've got, what's the Cubase one, Kent? The portable one?
Cubasis,
that's it.
Yeah.
Cubasis, which
is
always
3
feels a little
now.
limited.
Yeah.
Always feels a little limited. This feels, I have had a poke around inside of Next. It does feel like a good tool, for doing stuff run and gun. It's really good. It's a really good starting point.
But it's like with any digital audio workstation, one is not better than the other. It's what suits your MO.
Exactly.
It's
what, there isn't a best one.
Exactly. Which of the tools enables you to get what's in here out there as quickly and as efficiently and as pleasurably, shall we say, as possible.
Pleasurably.
Well, if it becomes difficult, like I've often talked about this. My falling out of love with Cubase began with it becoming just a pain in the arse to use. Every time I had a creative impulse, trying to get that out.
What iteration of Cubase was it when this happened?
This was SX.
Do you know what? Everybody hated Cubase at that particular point, but it got a hell of a lot better afterwards.
Yeah, but that's when it lost me, and then I just
I
got sidetracked. But they lost me because they made the process painful, and I then wanted something that wasn't so.
And that's why you like Ableton as well, isn't it? Because it's a very simple, a really clean way, works for the way your brain works.
It didn't always. It didn't always do that. When I first tried Ableton, I was like, I don't get this. I don't understand this. But there was a moment, and it was quite recently, where the switch got switched, and I was like, oh right, yeah, no, I get it now. But I still, even though I have to use Logic for a lot of the stuff that I'm paid to do, so I have to kind of live in that world anyway, and I like Logic. It's kind of still ticks my linear door kind of thing. I'm Reason. Still in my heart and soul, I'm a Reason guy. And I'm actually quite excited for next week because Reason 13 drops, and I'm still very much. That's the thing I always go. If I have an idea very quickly, and I want to get it into something, I always go to Reason immediately, because that just works for me. Some people don't like it. Some people think it's a toy or whatever. For me, it works. It absolutely works. And I hope that they haven't messed it up too much with 13. But everyone's different. It's like a pair of shoes. You're not always going to like the style. They're not always going to fit. But you'll find the pair that does, and that's the one you stick with, hopefully. And you might like one or two and combine them. But I know for people that like Sonar over the years, they swear by it. Like you said, Andy, it's it's a very, a lot of people sing very highly.
People. There's this comment here from, where is it? Wrong on Paul. Someday I'll get an 8-card Parish. I've already got a 3-card Parish. I just haven't run it up for such a long time. 3 cards is 48 channels. It's and it's still, for me, the best sounding DAW out there by such a long way. It sounds so analog.
I can show you a group of people that still go on about Fairlight MFX. and
and
they still
that's
swear
the
by
thing.
24-track MFX.
Each of us has these little gems that, and when it at the time, it sounded better than anything else, and it probably still does. But the actual interface and the way it interacts with the rest of the world and plugins and everything else has become challenging. I recently updated the Harrison 32, your console 32C, Mixbus 32C.
Keep meaning to do that.
What a freaking pain in the ass that is to update, and I've hardly touched it because I've still got things to do since it's been taken over by Solid State Logic, and it's kind of all I want to do is run it up, run the thing, have whatever plugins I've bought appear, and get on with it, and it just makes it really difficult. So, for each of us, we each have something, and I'm kind of at the moment in Cubase land with Kenty Poos, but I'm still not happy. I'm not the happiest bunny yet.
Every now and again, when Steinberg have a sale or an offer and they do something, I look at it and think it's kind of like look at an ex-girlfriend and you think maybe I shouldn't have split up with her, and you want to go back and see if it's got any better. And they always seem to pull the rug out from under my feet with the offers not being as alluring as they make out in the promotional email. And I've recounted the story about when they did their anniversary 50% off, and I was in Canada and it was the last couple of days of the offer, and I decided to wait until I was back in the UK to buy it, and I missed it by like less than 24 hours, and they refused point blank to just grant me a little bit of leeway. So I thought, screw you, and I've never really sort of gone back. But I have to say I might be tempted if there was a very good price just to see if it is.
The thing about Cubase, which still annoys me, and I once it's up and running and you're doing a session, it works really, really well. But the thing that always annoys me is the whole studio section where you have to set up all of the audio interfaces, and it changes, and you all it takes is one thing to go wrong, and you're in pain land again. I really, really don't like this studio session. The whole audio I/O thing at all with it. It's still not great. It never has been. But once you get it sorted, it's good. It's just if you do a brand new project and you don't have a template set up, it's kind of what do I do? What to do again now? Yeah. It's an odd thing. It's an odd beastie, but otherwise it works really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, Cakewalk Next and Cakewalk Sonar are now out of beta. They're now officially available for you to go and download, and to use them you will need a Band Lab subscription. Revolving door syndrome, yes, quite indeed.
Well done.
So that's that, and I think that is all the news that we had for this week. So I'm going to last 20 minutes or 15 minutes or so. Let's have a little chat about this. So, I know I want Kent's opinion on this. One of my colleagues, the brilliant Adam Douglas, who is an American living in Japan and is a brilliant music technology writer, wrote this rather interesting article the other day about soundtrack synths getting that blockbuster sound. And he picked out a bunch of synthesizers that have been featured on various soundtracks. And of course, the first name that comes up here is Hans Zimmer. But he also looked at Tom Holkenberg, aka Junkie XL, and Ludwig Göransson. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And looked at the instruments that they use. And of course, the first one that pops up with Hans is Zebra.
All day
from
long.
Yuhi.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous synth.
And it provides some examples of that. CS80 that's used on Blade Runner 2049, of course, the original Blade Runner as well. I heard a rumour that they're making Blade Runner 2099.
Yes,
morning.
I heard something about that.
Yes, interesting.
As well as Sherlock Holmes 3.
Oh, wow.
That's overdue.
And of course, Adam makes some suggestions if you want to recreate some of these sounds, how you can do that today. On June, the Synapse June was also used. The Osmos, of course.
Yeah.
Then he gets into Tom Holkenberg, who's done films like Deadpool and others. So it's a really interesting article about what different composers use in terms of synthesizers for their various scores. So I was just wanted to kind of throw the question out there. What are your, particularly you two, what are your favourite kind of soundtrack instruments? I'm guessing Kent, given that I know you rather well, that I'm probably going to sort of know what you're going to choose, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, definitely Zebra. It was because to all intents and purposes, it was literally written to be a soundtrack plugin.
Yeah,
for want of a better word. And my God, I think it's on every single score that Hans has done, from at least Batman to present day. It's on all of them. He has used the CS80 on obviously the 2049, but it's also on Dunkirk. There's a tiny bit of it in Interstellar and stuff like that. It comes out of the cupboard when it's needed, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they are mainstay. When you go, we just need something that's punches through. The Philharmonic Orchestra at this point needs something just to punch through that, and they will turn to at least these two machines. His Moon Modular, obviously, and stuff like that. So it's mostly it's done software now. Obviously, for all the obvious reasons. If you're successful, you will have access to the hardware. These big machines, they will do the job. But like I say, Spectrasonics is a mainstay. That's used on everything all the bleeding time.
Yes, that's very true.
It doesn't get picked up on because it's literally like it's the bread of the sandwich. It's just always there. But if you haven't got it, you just got ingredients all over the bleeding plate.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So it's hardly mentioned, but it is such a mainstay. So if you do have Spectrasonics, you've pretty much got 80% of everything you're going to need ever.
Yeah.
Omnisphere, Zebra, definitely one of these puppies. If you've got one knocking about in your toilet, get it out.
Look,
really,
everybody
really
has synthesizers in their toilets, Mr. Spong.
Everybody has an 80 in their toilet, didn't you? It can't be just me.
I have an 80-year-old in the toilet. I think it's me.
Yeah, I had a couple of them and all. Yeah, so
we're veering off. Andrew, any favourite soundtrack synthesizers for you?
There's a few. I'm with Kent on pretty much everything he said. What he's missed, for me, what's been missed is is Rob Pappin's Blue, which I think is an extraordinary synth, absolutely extraordinary. Believe it or not, the Novation Supernova 2, which is a wonderful thing. The JD800 was really, really good for putting together soundtracky stuff once you started layering it with DXs and samples and things. Zebra and Dark Zebra, just amazing. Omnisphere, of course. And of course, all of the certainly the orchestral libraries, for the kinds of things where you want to mix all of these things together. I guess were I to be doing more soundtracks, I'd be using a lot more of the augmented libraries that are out there, because they do add something else. And of course, this puppy, love this. What else was there? The E4. The E4 it's because of the patching and everything. It's like having a modular synth and using that with samples and the synth side and the RFX engine. You can get some extraordinary stuff. I did a lot of work for the BBC and others doing soundtracks, program intros and documentaries for Channel 4 and such, using that and a few other things. So yeah, and of course the Mini Moog if you got one. They're lovely, lovely things.
Yeah.
You just can't kind of go wrong with those.
So I'll chuck my two penneth in.
Go on.
Korg Wave Station. has been on countless soundtracks and unadulterated, unashamedly preset. So many patches you go through. Oh my God, that's from that. That was one. But I'm going to go to what is, I guess, my first love, and that's samplers, and the Fairlight, and the Synclavier, and the audio frame, or the Waveframe audio frame, and all of those and the emulators. The Emulator 2, was all over. A lot of stuff that John Carpenter did and others. But the Fairlight was massive, and not just in soundtrack, but also in post-production and Foley and all of that stuff. It was just this all-round. You could use it. Brad Fidel very famously used it. Go and watch Alex's video on Terminator 2. He used 2 of them and pretty much did the whole thing on there. Of course, Hans very famously used it on his breakthrough project, Rain Man, which is all Fairlight Series 3, and sounds incredible to this day. And the Synclaviers and the audio frames and those other big sort of sample-based instruments. Jim Hughes mentioned one that I'd forgotten all about, the Keimer, and that's the Capybara Keimer, which was this massive bespoke. Well, I say massive. It was this stupidly powerful bespoke computer system that made some incredible sounds. I remember discovering that and thinking, wow, and then looking at the price. Viral Beats mentioned the Synclavier also as well. Those are all, really, for me, sort of a lot of the soundtracks that I listen to and enjoy involve a lot of that. I also want to put in, and I know people are going, okay, it's FM, but the FS1R. I actually used that on a soundtrack and I used it in a musical sense. So, there was melodic parts, but also there were atonal parts that I used it on where it doesn't, it's not musical or melodic in any shape or form, but it was absolutely perfect for the piece that I was working on. And that's an incredibly powerful machine that can do a huge amount of stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if, you asked a lot of people, a lot of composers, if they'd use something like that, they'd probably
DX5 was another one. They used to use that a lot, and I know lots of people that did as a control, both as a sound source, but also mixing it with a lot of other analog stuff. And just the keyboard was so light, it allowed you to do all sorts of things really easily.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the 80 has got to be in there, isn't it?
That's it.
Just a bit, just a little bit.
Well, essentially, any plugin will work for a soundtrack as long as you've got patches on there by Mel Weston and Howard Scarr. Then you're done.
Exactly.
You're all right. It's pretty much sorted then.
It's there's some very interesting things. I mean, listening to some of the soundtracks I listen to, some of them haven't even got synthesizers in there. Like the Morricone stuff is just unbelievable. What he did with a very limited sound palette,
and the sound libraries that now echo those. That's the sample libraries that now echo that kind of stylization.
Of course, as Nick points out, DX7 in Top Gun. But then you look at the instruments that Faltermeyer was using on Top Gun. What else did he do?
They were pretty much all presets he was using.
Axel F. Most. I mean, the bass sound and the bell sounds are all. Oh,
it's like the Prophet 10 got quite an outing for a while. Especially Carpenter.
The legend that is Ken Flux Pierce, the JV 1080. Absolutely. I mean, the JV 1080 was the omnisphere of its day in a hardware box, and there's probably a very strong connection there with Eric Persing. But the 1080 was just like across everything. You could hear those orchestral sounds, those horn sounds, all over the place. Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to hearing soundtracks with the Osmos on it, actually.
Yeah, and that is another thing.
Especially if it's sort of like, shit.
Wagyu points out that, I mean, it will end up, it already has started ending up on a lot of soundtracks because it's such an evocative, atmospheric, cinematic sound. That
as
engine.
will that beastie behind you.
Oh, this thing, I'm sure that will end up on a bunch
Oh,
of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say.
And the C15.
Yeah. Oh, the C15, absolutely. That's an incredibly great sounding machine.
Absolutely.
Really, really is. So, no, it's interesting. The article, if you want to read it, it's by the great Adam Douglas, who writes for us at Gear News. He's our man in Japan. He's a super, super lovely guy and really knows his onions. So go and read that article. Some great examples. Apparently, Blade Runner 2099 is going to be a mini-series. A number of people pointed that out in the chat, but Thane MLH has confirmed that 2099 is a mini-series. I can't remember who. It was some. I saw an article today that said so-and-so has signed up for Blade Runner 2099. I'm like, I had no idea about that.
Does it need a mini-series?
Probably not. But you're going to watch it.
Well, maybe the first one and just see.
Yeah. I hope they don't mess it up. I hope they
if there's no CS80 on it, I'll just turn it off.
Do you remember when the Blade Runner 2040, what was it?
2049.
2049 came out.
Yeah.
I was so
what the time
dreading,
was 2 minutes ago.
I was so dreading seeing it in case it didn't do what it should have done. I was expecting it not to be good because I just didn't think it could. But I had to watch it twice before I kind of went, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not awful by a long stretch.
It's not awful.
No, but it's not the first
awful.
one. And
I quite liked it. By the end of it, I was kind of... Oh.
It's palatable.
Yeah. And the soundtrack was really good.
Yeah, indeed.
I got a lovely message from Hans when he said, he goes, we pulled the 80 out of the cupboard. We haven't used it for a few years. So we put it up on a stand. We turned it on, played it. Perfectly in tune. Thanks for that. I was like, oh, okay. Cool.
Nice.
Yay.
So bloody should be.
It's great to see Jamie Morden in the chat of
Hey.
GeoSynths. Good to see you, mate.
Hey.
Welcome, and I understand you're coming back on Sundays. Let us know when, because that would be rather cool. Because we've missed you. We've missed you on a Sunday. Our Sunday evenings have not been the same. So great stuff, and thank you, Thane MLH, for becoming a YouTube member. That's very, very nice of you. Very generous, and hope you enjoy the ride, as they say. There's been some interesting toilet synth jokes. System Synth 80. Polyphonic after flush. I like that one.
I like that one.
That's very good. The System Synth 80. Thank you, Steve Elbows, for pointing out it was Michelle Yeoh who has been tapped up to co-star or with Hunter Schafer in Amazon's upcoming Blade Runner 2099 TV series.
Oh, I like Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, I love Michelle Yeoh. I think she's fantastic.
Yeah. Right back from the old Jet Li days as well.
Indeed, yeah. Macaron After Party asks a question. What's on your Arturia's next Freak series wish list? MPE touch strips. That's an interesting concept. Yeah, I'm interested to see where they're going to go with the Freak next, because the micro and the mini were so good. So taking things a little bit left field with both, especially the micro Freak. Are they going to do a bigger one?
MPE touch strips like that.
Yeah. I mean, they're polyphonic aftertouch already, aren't they?
I'm waiting for PolyBrute 12 keyboard controller.
That'd be nice. Yeah. A lot of people actually...
Poised.
When I've been sort of lurking in PolyBrute 12 demos from the Arturia guys, a lot of people have been saying, when are you going to put this in a controller? I don't think it's going to be too soon.
That's all right. I've got stuff to get done in the meantime.
You need to have the engine for it to connect to make use of it, don't you? Really?
Well, yeah.
No, if it sends MPE like the Rise and the Osmos and what have you, there's loads and loads of like plug-in synths that are going to love being able to play it.
It works.
It's all about that keyboard, you know.
Yeah, it works great with pigments and other plugins. Because as I said before, and I was testing this out on Jamie's excellent regular PolyBrute patches, because the engines are identical, they all load up into the PolyBrute 12. But as soon as you turn that alternate mode on, and you've got the full touch mode, there are all 3 different full touch modes. Yeah. All of a sudden, without even touching the voice programming at all, you benefit from that full touch experience because you know some of those sounds will particularly the paddy kind of sounds.
Yeah,
you can now express because you're actually opening the envelope with your fingers, but then if you hit them firm, you get the pluckiness, which of course Jamie didn't program that stuff in. That's the keyboard doing it. But all of a sudden, Jamie's libraries have taken on a new lease of life, and I'm very excited for him to get hold of one of these and actually do some specific patches for it, which will be really exciting. But yeah, it kind of takes existing stuff and just makes it better. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they do something like that.
Well, I must get Pigments. Yeah. I must get it.
Yeah, Pigments is a great synth.
It's not a bad really price. 170 quid.
Something like that, yeah.
I just decided I need that keyboard mech. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just grab it.
Yeah.
It was great. Anyway, gentlemen, that brings us to the end of another show. We've managed to get to the end again, even with not so much news to go on. Oh, James just said he's waiting for Music Matter to get one in so he can then get hold. So please, come on, Music Matter, get Jamie Morden a PolyBrute 12. I want his patches.
You're going to love it, Jamie. Honestly,
yeah,
mate.
Yeah,
You're going to love it.
But we managed to get to the end of a show with not a lot of news. Hopefully things will start picking up shortly, but
I haven't heard back from Matey about the CS80 replacement voice cards.
Oh, gosh, that's what we didn't talk about.
That's all right.
Do that next week.
We can do that next week. But yes, in short, a company called... What are they called again?
They are called Retrolinear.
Retrolinear, that's it. They've come up with a replacement CS80 voice card, which has multiple uses. Of course, the obvious one is that it will replace broken CS voices in the 50, the 60, the 80.
Mm-hmm.
Will it do anything else?
Well, yes, it can do.
Yeah.
Yes, it can go into another box, and you can have rack-mounted 80s. And
yes, well, that's the...
If somebody were to build such a thing.
Yeah. But I think in the video, which was quite a long video and maybe not too compelling for a show, but go and check out the video on YouTube. He implies
Should I put the link in?
Yeah, put the link in there. That'd be fine. He implies that it's not just for maintaining old instruments, but for potential new stuff as well. So you're going to get this really, sought after voice with modern components.
And for anyone that relies upon the 80 and has got, is part of their sort of core sound, as it were, they're going to want to buy 8 of these cards just as standby, just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Because there was also
they'll
claim.
sell them all to Kent.
Yeah.
And he'll have them.
Well, I know that Kent, you've reached out to these guys because this is ideal for you in your work as
Yeah, well, I definitely wanted more information from them, so at least we could talk about it with a little bit of
authority.
Well, no, just armed with more info.
Yeah. Well, maybe by the time we next week's show comes.
Well, next week, who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have some more info, but maybe we can get them on and speak to them in person on the show.
Yeah.
We can maybe reach out and do
well,
that.
What I've seen is the filter responses, the mistake in the sawtooth, the weird square is all there.
Yeah.
And they are so close, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it goes into the 80, so that it's the wires solder onto the board, both sides.
Could any of those? Oh, look at that.
Yeah. If you would, Dane, that would be fantastic.
That'd be brilliant. Thank you.
That would be good. Yeah. Could any of those go in your behemoth?
Well, this is the thing, you see.
You were saying this, weren't you?
Yeah. It would actually. It would be easier and quicker for me to put anaglyph together if I could buy a bucket of these.
16.
No, 64.
64.
Yeah, the anaglyph had 64. Yeah.
Bloody hell.
You want to see the keyboard split circuit? It's amongst everything. The thing is, I then want to be able to feed this because things have come on since the anaglyph was first thought of.
Yeah.
You got MPE now.
Yeah.
If Arturia can bring out that bloody keyboard as a separate controller, get a couple of them in there as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
I've got all my bits and pieces to build all the rhythm controllers.
Mm-hmm.
Proper velvet rhythm controllers, not these exposed plastic cobblers. Proper ones.
Proper velvet.
With MPE?
Proper velvet.
Feel the velvet.
What? No, you leave them as is. The MPE you can put to the keyboard. Leave the controller as the controller. You know, just leave that as it is. You know, don't mess with it. But to be able to send and receive MPE control, brilliant. We'd love it.
Yeah.
You're talking about a 6-figure synth, aren't you? If it was to be sold.
It would be yeah. I mean, it's one of those things like if you're going to build a polysynth that's going to say, you know, here lies the guy that built that mental keyboard on your gravestone, then it's going to have to be really, really mental. If you're going to do it, you do it big and be done with it. So you have people go, you're insane, you know that. Okay. That's the response I want.
Cool. Well, let's see if we can get the guy on and talk about it.
That'd be brilliant.
Thane MLH in the chat says that he knows him and can put him in touch. Please do. You can find me. You can find me in all the usual places, slumming it with the rest of them. So yeah, please do put us in touch. That would be great. We'd love to speak to him about that because, as everybody knows, we're all big fans of the CS80 and the CS80 sound. So particularly him. So there we go. That's the show. Thanks ever so much for taking the time to come and watch us, whether you watched us live or whether you came to us later on afterwards. Come and join. If you've never watched us live, treat yourself one day. It's fun. Join in and have a laugh with the rest of us. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Kent, as always, for joining and participating. And thank you to the Penguin of Death. Thank you to everybody that's watched. Thank you to everyone that's in the chat that has contributed, because that's a fantastic element of the whole show, is you guys chuntering on over there and getting interactive with the show.
Chuntering.
We chuntering, yes.
Okay.
We love you. Don't forget, there's lots of other great synthesizer-related channels on the internet. Some of which we like to. There's a frog.
The frog.
Synchrotron is in the chat, and he will confirm whether or not he's doing one of his usual Saturday morning live streams.
Oh, please.
He does one at 10 o'clock. Synchrotron is the channel. Go and check it out. It's all very, very good stuff. And then you've got Ramsey at 2 p.m. UK time tomorrow. Yeah. And then, I don't know, Jamie, did you answer whether when you're planning to come back on Sundays? Let us know in the chat. That'd be fantastic. Don't forget Sonic State, of course, on a Wednesday, and there's loads of other stuff out there, and you can go and find it on the internet. Go and support them as well, and give them a like and a subscribe, and maybe if they could take a donation, help them out, because the one thing that binds us all together is not the Force; it's this wonderful sense of community, and I look forward
but also
to
the Force.
Yes. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all.
Can we do a quick shout out for Richard Hilton?
Of course.
Yeah.
His son's Corey's album is out. It's available from Amazon. It is available on Spotify, but Spotify.
But buy the thing.
Yeah. But it's available on Amazon. It is on Amazon, yes.
I'm going to be getting that.
And we
Corey
downloaded
Hilton,
it.
Corey, Corey Hilton.
I had a quick listen earlier, and it does sound good, really well recorded. Yeah. The last thing we didn't mention, and I know we've gone over, is the list.
Dom's list. Good thinking, Batman. Dominic Hawkins' list of equipment. Let's see if I can just very quickly bring that up onto the screen here, because I'm sure I still have it open, because I was looking at something. Actually, I was looking at 3 things last night and wondering if I could. There we go. So there's Dom's list. Everything that's greyed out has sold. So if it's still listed in black with a tick box next to it that's empty, it is still available. And there's plenty of stuff on that. Can you expand on that?
Can you make it slightly larger?
I can do that. So I can scroll through and just say that you've got Arturia mini brutes, you've got Burl motherships, DSI mofos. There's a whole stack of Roland gear in there. There's a Korg MS2000.
D50 for 340 quid.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. KX88 for 272. There's some outboard studio gear, some rather good quality stuff in there,
API
including
channel strips. Those are good.
Yeah, Neve 8816s, quad 405 amps, Rode NTC mics.
Yep.
And then there is some modular stuff left in there as well. So all of this stuff is now reduced by a further 15%. So it already had one discount. There's been another 15% discount on there. So please have a look at that. All funds generated by this sale of equipment will go towards Sophia and Lula May's outgoings, basically, because Dom's no longer there. So,
and the last thing that's worth mentioning, there is 15% off the discount. But if you play nicely,
if you want to pay more,
but they will take an offer as well.
Yes, they are.
I was just going to say.
They want to get rid of it. So,
but if you want to pay more, then by all means do.
This is.
I'm going to throw this link in the chat. It is kind of a long link. Actually, no, I can shorten it down because I can get rid of the Facebook tag. There we go. So there's the link. It's a Google Doc, and it is a live spreadsheet. So as soon as something goes, it will be ticked off and it will be grayed out. So what you see on that list is always current. They want to get it wrapped up ASAP.
To the end
they
of
don't
the
want
month,
this stuff hanging around.
Some people won't get paid till the end of the month.
I don't know. I don't think there's a definite end to it. They just want this stuff gone, really. So, yeah. Have a go. See if there's anything there.
I think it ties in with house moves and stuff like that. So,
yeah, because that's the other thing. They want to clear stuff out.
We don't put anybody into debt, but if you are going to go get something, go get it. Yeah, exactly. Don't think about it anymore.
And I think if you need to go and collect it, they're down somewhere near Crawley in Sussex. So I know it's a bit far south for some people, but I think they will consider shipping. They will consider shipping, but obviously at your own cost. So,
200,
there you go. The link is also up on the Pro Synth Network Facebook page, which is where we sort of tend to hang out between shows. So if you want it, it's there, but it's also in the chat. Go and see if there's anything there that you like. And buy it quickly before I do, because I'm trying to resist the temptation. I just don't have the space for anything, but I really would like to.
That's going to stop you.
Yeah, quite. I wanted to get the E1 in here, but just can't. So there we go. Anyway, talking of which, just very quickly, I want to remind people that Synthesized in Cambridge is going ahead at the end of this month. And if you go to the Centre for Computing History's website, which is where the event is being held, and order your tickets online, if you put in the code PROSYNTH, you'll get a discount. You'll get a 15% discount off your price of your tickets. It's a 2-day event. You can either come for one day or both days. There's going to be live music on the Saturday evening. Myself and Peter James Stephen will be there with a whole bunch of emulators and the Frankie 106 and possibly the PolyBrute 12 as well. If we can fit that in. So you can come and have a look at that. And that's coming up the end of this month. And then we'll also be at Synthfest UK. We'll have a stand in the main hall at Synthfest UK, which we're very excited about. And we are also going to be at Machine Bristronica a week after Synthfest. So come and see us there. Right, gentlemen, ladies, boys and girls, we will see you same time, same place next week. Thanks for watching. Make sure you click that like button, give us a subscribe, and ring that bell to get notifications. And don't forget, you can join us at Patreon at patreon.com/ProSynth Network, or you can become a YouTube channel member. Be great to have you on board. Thanks ever so much. Take care. Have a fantastic weekend. See you all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Au revoir.